Whoa, looks like you want to get into Spellbreak Full Release 1.0 on Xbox, Switch, PS4, and PC? That's epic. You'll never be cool as me, who played in the pre-alpha and closed beta. But you can be almost as cool if you know what class to play in the game. So today, I'm going to help you do that. This is a beginner's guide made for all the Spellbreak classes, an ultimate guide to help you figure out which class you can play the first time you ever open the game up. Also, my channel and my Twitch is dedicated to helping out new players get into the game, so if you ever have any questions, feel free to drop by the stream, leave any questions, or drop them down in the comments below. I'll answer everything. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing. 3 things we're going to cover today are the 6 gauntlets in this order on the screen. Timestamps are in the description, and the playback bar down there is cut for your convenience by YouTube. We'll be covering how good the gauntlet is, how beginner friendly it is, meta-wise and all like that, what the playstyle is, and what kinds of people it will fit. So let's get started. I'll be breezing through these fast so that this is digestible. He's right up here. Judas. Yeah. Oh, he's low. Nice. He died to corrosion. The Pyro class is probably the one you used if you played the tutorial, so you might be a little bit familiar with how it works already. And it uses the Fire Gauntlet. Fire Gauntlet shoots a straight fireball that does around 20 to 40 damage. And its fireball is usually used for close to mid-range combat, and sometimes used to combine with tornadoes and toxic clouds for big damage. This class is probably the most beginner friendly. If you have no idea, absolutely zero idea what you want to do in this game so far, I would highly suggest the Pyro class. It has a great movement ability, and a lot of the other ones are based only around buffing the gauntlet, so the abilities themselves are relatively simple and easy to learn. They're simple while not being bad at all. If you're confused about where to find the abilities, open up your inventory when you're in-game, and in the top left is each ability for each level. Levels are basically every time you get into a new circle, you'll unlock the next level of your class. The gauntlet itself will be a little hard for new players, but compared to all the other ones, it's the best way to learn the fundamentals of Spellbreak and the skill set that you need. Spellbreak is a projectile-based game, so the biggest part of hitting your shots is usually leading them. Fire with its moderate speed, and it's a straight line projectile, so they will teach you this very fast, and it does a lot of damage, so it will give you a good reward for hitting them. Its abilities are all based on damage, and its fire flying ability is very simple, and it's a good mobility tool, and it teaches the players how to use mobility, when to use mobility very effectively. The class is also easily one of the strongest right now as a class and as a gauntlet. It's just pure damage, especially combined with Toxic with its unparalleled DPS. It will definitely help you improve at the game, and you won't suck while you're doing it. This playstyle is good for people with fairly aggressive playstyles, but it can be used for mid-range. If you like getting in people's faces and spamming things for big damage, this class is definitely the class for you. In my opinion, this is the best class for beginners if you have watched the rest of this guide and all the other playstyles are not just your thing, or you still don't know what you want to do. Pyro is your best bet.
Yep.
Ooh! Ooh! Did I hit all of those? Oh, and he's gone. Toxic. Oh, hey. Toxicologist. My main, and therefore, the best one. No matter what other streamers tell you. It's not overpowered. At all. Freaking tacos. Literally not broken. How is it broken? Toxic Gauntlet is a shotgun type weapon that shoots out 4 little toxic spikes when you shoot it. Up close it does around 20 to 40 damage depending on the rarity. It varies quite a bit. At far ranges it's great for starting out a fight because it does corrosion, which means it does damage over time specifically on armor. So if you get in a few hits before the fight even starts, you will whittle down their health. It's pretty beginner friendly. I would say it's the second easiest one. Its toxic cloud ability is very good and very simple. It's just a cloud that you can learn how to use it, which is for zoning and for Dragonfire, which is a combination with fire. Very high damage, very easy to learn. The abilities for the class, on the other hand, are a little bit harder, which is why it's not as easy as Pyro. The Vanishing Miss ability takes a long time before you can really get good at it, and using the mobility very effectively to get close to your enemies, it's going to take a little bit of practice before you get good at it. And it's very risky. Being that up close is a very, very risky playstyle, and while you can do a lot of damage to them, they can do a lot to you because you're so close, which is why it's not as beginner friendly as Pyro. As for helping you improve, it definitely will. It forces you to learn positioning, aim, and when and how to use more mobility, which I would argue are the 3 best skills to have in Spellbreak. The class as a whole is pretty good right now. Insane damage up close. It is a little bit out of the meta as of this video because the rune that is best for it, Shadow Step, is out, but it will be coming back, as they say. Overall, you will definitely get a reward for practicing this class. As for playstyle, it is very, very hyper-aggressive. The most aggressive and risky playstyle. Toxic players spend all of their fights trying to find the most creative ways to get in right up close, right next to someone so they can Tox slap them right in the face. The situations where they're the best in are claustrophobic places like castles where they can weave in and out. If that's your playstyle, being super aggressive, getting up close, shredding down people's health, pretty flashy, Toxic is for you.
There's one coming towards you. Oh, the one, I'm gonna exile the one that you got. You get sniped. Shit.
Got him. Oh, God. Stone. Piece of shit. Stone Gauntlet is a mid-range gauntlet that goes in a straight line on the ground with a small hitbox slightly above it. It does 30 to 40 damage, and with its fire rate, it shreds people's health. It has constantly been called the noob killer as long as it's existed, and for good reason. Mana management is such a big part of Spellbreak, and most noobs don't know how to mana manage, and if you don't know how to mana manage, you probably won't be able to get off the ground. You'll be recharging your mana while on the ground, and that's easy targets for Stone. They just Stone Slam over and over. And it's very similar to Pyro in terms of playstyle and aggressiveness. This is probably the most beginner friendly, but it's not the one I would suggest. The gauntlet is brain dead easy. You just look in their direction, and right before they hit the ground, you click, and that's it. Did I just unplug my headphones? God damn. Boom! You clicked and now you just did like a quarter of their health. Congratulations, you are now trash. It's the only class without any form of mobility whatsoever, and the abilities are just there to boost a gauntlet. Picking the class itself will not teach you any more about the game than the gauntlet itself will, and it's not really gonna matter. It will not help you get better since most good players already know how to counter it, and once you learn how to counter Stone, they're easy targets. It does not teach aim, leading your shots, mobility, positioning, or really anything that you need in Spellbreak. Playstyle wise, it's a lot like Pyro, fairly aggressive with emphasis on being an open area so you can Stone Slam them to hell. It maintains a close enough distance for big damage but not close enough so people like Toxic players can beat the crap out of you. Since you constantly have to be on the ground, it gets a little risky. Do not touch this if you're a beginner unless you really like that playstyle or you just want to play Spellbreak on easy mode. Get good at something else first.
Thirsty right now?
Nice kill her.
Oh, snap!
Why? Wow. The Tempest Gauntlet is probably the closest one to a rifle. Fastest fire rate and low mana consumption, but low, very low damage. It does the worst damage out of all the gauntlets. Let me clarify that Tempest is a special gauntlet. It's not really there for damage. It is used only for 2 reasons. Mobility when you use the Tempest class, which I guess is what you're here for, and the Tornado for combining with Toxic, Fire, Conduit, whatever. Basically everything but Stone. Wow, Stone sucks. Using it for its own damage is frowned upon by a lot of people. It's called wind spamming. Don't do it, because I will have 0 respect for you, and it's actually kind of bad. So, the class itself is not very beginner friendly. It takes a lot of time to master it or even get good at it at all. It isn't the hardest per se, but its huge focus on mobility makes it really hard to make full use of its abilities and the potential damage that Tempest get, because you have to balance actually getting kills and damage with the massive amount of mobility. The playstyle is very hard for new players to juggle, which is why it takes a long time to get good at. The gauntlet itself isn't very hard, but like I said, that balancing is what makes it such a steep learning curve for beginners. The class is very good right now, actually. It got buffed in full release. Its insane mobility can mix up and confuse even the best of players. It's probably one of the highest skill caps. Its insane mobility is mostly there so it can mix up and zoom around everywhere. It may be harder first to overcome that balancing part, but once you overcome that, you will get a huge reward and you will learn a ton about positioning and aim, and especially mobility. Out of all the classes, I would say it's the one that teaches you the full skill set the best. Playstyle is a very patient way that leads into aggressiveness. It's It's the most flashy playstyle in the game. Tempest players often play very tight-knit, calculated plays. If you like a high-moving, flashy playstyle, this is the best for you. In my opinion, this is a very good class to learn if you like the playstyle. It teaches mobility, aim, and positioning, but has a steep learning curve. If you're willing to overcome it, pick Tempest.
Behind you, behind you, behind you. Itsy bitty, teeny weeny, yellow polka dot bikini.
Oh, Vital
Nice.
Stone, man.
Vital Stone is so annoying, bro, and it's used a whole lot
There
right
we
now
go.
too.
Yeah, the Conduit Gauntlet is a long-range, high-fire rate, consistent damage gauntlet. Unlike its Tempest counterpart, it can do insane damage. The class itself is not beginner friendly. It's fairly hard to balance positioning and shooting because unlike Pyro and Toxic, which just use bursts, while Toxic and Pyro does bursts of damage, Conduit takes it needs time to get that damage, and therefore you don't have the time to go zip around with mobility. It's hard to juggle it. The Gauntlet needs good tracking aim, which you might already be good at from other games, which is great. The abilities are mainly centered around Gauntlet damage, which is good, but the Gauntlet itself is already hard to balance with mobility and positioning, so it already has a very steep learning curve for beginners. Class, however, is great if you're willing to overcome that, or you've learned Spellbreak and you want to pick it up. The extra rune charge is great, and if you can get in enough shots in, it does a ton of damage. Great reward for working hard. The playstyle is a very patient and not too aggressive style. If you like staying mid-range, spraying down and wearing down people's health, this is perfect. In my opinion, beginners should not try this class out. You should learn movement and positioning in other classes and get good at the game before you transition to this if you like the playstyle. Oh! Oh, come on. Come on. Hit him. Hit him. Oh my god, dude. Finally, number 6, Frost. I've been recording for way too long. You know how many takes I've done these? I can't speak today. The stylish and flashy class that all the big boys use. Let's talk about why. The Frost Gauntlet is pretty hard on beginners. Wouldn't suggest it. Although aim assist helps a lot, it depends on what platform you're on. The drop in the projectile and the speed and when to use it confuses a lot of beginners who don't know anything about the game. It varies in difficulty with each player. Like, it varies in difficulty depending on your experience with snipers or just aiming in general. It relies heavily on leading your shots, which is a huge part of Spellbreak already, and a lot of new players aren't great at that. The abilities for Frost are relatively simple to learn. Frost Trail especially is a great escape tool for you and your teammates. The way you use your abilities are relatively simple too. Most of the difficulty in the steep learning curve is in Frost. All of the skill sets that I talked about, leading your shots and your aim and like positioning in aiming, like balancing those things, all of it is like exemplified in the Frost Gauntlet. All the hard things about the other gauntlets is kind of in the Frost Gauntlet, but more. The difficulty is not in the class itself. Like most games, hitting sniper shot after sniper shot makes for some really hype clips. And therefore, the playstyle of the Frost class is very flashy. And if you go for that, Frost might be your kind of class. It can rush fights and maintain a safe distance while wearing down people's health. If it sounds good for you, go ahead and pick up the Frost class. And that is all of the classes. I hope this helped. I tried to get through these a little faster than usual because I wanted to make this a comprehensive guide for you to pick for new players. As always, if you have any questions at all, my Twitch chat and comment section are open. I answer everything. No questions are stupid, and if you want an experienced player to play with, stream is open. I stream on Wednesdays, Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, and Saturdays, and I'll be doing a lot more Spellbreak now that it's back. I hope you now know what class to choose. As always, if this has helped you, please consider subscribing. It would help out a lot. Now that a lot of big attention is coming to Spellbreak, small creators like me are kind of worried we're going to get left behind, and I'm really hoping that's not the case. I've been very dedicated to this game, like the rest of the small creator community, for a while. We've been here since pre-alpha, so hopefully this goes well. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.